Okay, so you guys are still on lesson 16. As I said, it wasn't gonna let me post. Just like how I usually scan in the sheets, it wasn't gonna let me post just one or two worksheets. So for today, you need to read the case of the missing mutt, and then you will do the sequencing questions right after that on page 261. So you will do 260, 261, and the writing on 263. I'll post that in Schoology at the top of the assignment so you guys remember that. But I will read this story with you. I want you guys to reread it, and then you can answer the sequencing questions and then do the short response that goes with it. So I'll read this story and then I will leave you to it so you guys can work on it. Mrs. Brown stood at the gate in her backyard with a puzzled look on her face. As I walked closer, I could see something was wrong. Mrs. Brown wiped tears from her eyes and said, "I think someone has stolen Snippets." Snippets was Mrs. Brown's dog. I asked her why she thought he had been stolen. She said the gates were all closed tight, so he couldn't have just run off. I took a look around. Some leaf bags stood piled near one corner. I told her Snippets could have easily hopped up on the bags and over the fence. "But Marty," she said, "why would he do that?" "Most likely to see another dog," I said. I asked her if Snippets had ever been to the new dog park. Miss Brown said, "Why, yes, my granddaughter took him there last week. I found Snippets playing with his friends at the park. I promised I would take him back there later, but first there was someone who very much needed to see him." As you are finishing reading that, and then you are going to answer the questions, ask yourself this question: what problem does Marty need to solve? It says to underline the clues to help you figure that out. You guys can just do that in your head. So what problem does Marty need to solve? That will help you answer these questions. One, what is Mrs. Brown's problem at the beginning of the story? And number two, when does Marty first get the idea that Snippets wasn't stolen? Okay, so answer those and then do the short response on 263 that goes with the story. How is Mrs. Brown's problem solved? Use details from the story in your answer. So make sure you guys are using details from the text to support your answer. So that's citing your text evidence to prove that that really did happen. And then there's a checklist at the bottom that you guys can do to make sure you guys did everything in your writing.